humans. I stand here today not for myself, but for every tail wagger, sloppy kisser, and curtain ninja. I stand here for each one of the thousands of dogs and cats killed in shelters each day, asking you to join our cause and help us make sure every best friend has a chance to meet one of their own. With Best Friends Animal Society leading the charge, and your help, we can save them all.
Thank you for joining us for Pet Connect on National Mutt Day. This is Tara Douglas, and we are going to talk a little bit about mutts right now at the shelter. We're walking dogs every Saturday from 11 to 1. You can come out and meet lots of wonderful dogs there that need families. Unfortunately, our shelter is full right now, so we desperately need some adoptions. This is Jessie. Jessie is one of the available dogs that we have there, and she is about 6 months old. She has that cone on her head because there was a little altercation at the shelter and she had to go get her ear repaired. But she is at one of our wonderful volunteers' homes being fostered right now, and they're finding so much about her personality. She's just a great dog. She's very sweet. She's loving. She gets along with other dogs, and we think that she'll be a great pet for somebody. So if you're interested in meeting her, then contact the shelter, contact Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill, and we can get you in contact with her foster, and then that way we can find her a home. We do not want her to go back to the shelter. We'd love for her to be adopted from foster. And again, this is Jessie, so just ask about her. But like I said, we have 130 dogs, or around about that number, at the shelter, and we need desperately to find some homes for them. So if you know someone who's looking for a dog, then we most likely have a dog for them. And especially on National Mutt Day, let's see if we can find some mutts some homes, and it would make all of our volunteers so happy. But even if you don't want to adopt a dog, come on out Saturday and walk dogs. There's so many ways that you can help the shelter. The shelter's in need of cat litter right now and also puppy food. So if you want to help support through donations, then those are two things that could be quite helpful. And just watch the shelter Facebook page. They explain everything that they need on there. And you can also contact the Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill, like I said. You know, we're there to support the shelter, and we can get all the information to you that you need. So you can find everybody on Facebook, or you can email the Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill at gmail.com. And let's go ahead and get to my guest. Let's move from mutts, and we're going to talk about birds and snakes and lizards and all kinds of fun things. So I have Eliana Romans on here today, and we are so happy to have you here, and we're going to talk about, you're my go-to person for birds and snakes.
Yep.
So let's talk about how you got interested in birds and snakes.
So I've always been interested in like animals. And I've always loved birds. I think snakes, it was only just a few years ago where I started getting into them, and it was because of a YouTube channel I found called Snake Discovery. Where they actually breed snakes.
Oh my gosh.
And so it sort of makes me want to get snakes and start breeding them and then selling those to be pets. So
now, I think I already told you, I had somebody on Pet Connect, it might have been almost a year ago now, that brought a snake. And I have spent my entire life avoiding snakes, but this little bald python that she brought on here, I was able to hold it, and it was kind of fun to hold that snake. I never imagined I'd like to hold a snake. I don't think I want to breed them, but I can understand better why you would love snakes like you do.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about a little bit about you. We know why you like snakes and birds, but how old are you?
I'm 14 years old.
And where do you live? Where do you go to school? Give us some background information.
So I live in Wilsonville. I'm actually homeschooled.
Okay.
But I do have a sort of a group. So like where we're a part of Crossroads, so there are cover school is what they are. So yeah, I was trying to think of what they were. So cover school. So
do you have any people in school with you that enjoy birds and snakes like you do?
Not really. So since I'm homeschooled, I don't really get to see those who are also part of Crossroads too often. And when I do, I don't typically talk about snakes and birds that often.
So tell me, you do a lot of bird watching. I like to bird watch too. So let's talk about some birds that you love that you love to find and love to see around here, and how you do your bird watching?
So birds that I love seeing is, now it depends on what area I am. I love getting to see woodpeckers, and I love getting to see migrating birds that come here through the summer. So like blue grosbeaks, all these different vireos. I just love getting to see any bird that I can that I don't get to see too often. And then like if I'm near like say a lake or a river, I'm looking for eagles, ospreys, and herons and egrets.
Okay.
So
we used to travel some, and I would take a bird book with me and mark down every time I saw a bird that I haven't seen before, because it is fun to see birds that you haven't seen or that are uncommon, and it's fun to watch birds that are common.
Yeah.
I think when we lived in Washington, I missed cardinals and blue jays the most, because we didn't have that particular kind of blue jay, and we didn't, or that kind of jay, and we didn't have cardinals there. So I was happy to get back home to Alabama and be able to see those birds again.
Yeah, possibly my favorite bird that I see all the time is definitely the tufted titmouse.
Okay.
So I just love seeing those little birds, and sometimes I'll ask my mom for her phone or iPad where I'll get onto one of the birding apps and start using their calls. And I'll just get a whole bunch of them just start calling back to me.
Will they really?
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting, because Eliana was telling me about bird calls, and she knows a lot of those bird calls and what kind of birds they are. And I had one particular bird in our backyard that I couldn't figure out what it was, and I found a guy on YouTube that had all of these different bird calls, and so we were able to figure out what it was. And I was showing it to Eliana last week because I was so proud that we'd figured out what kind of bird we have.
Yeah, and that bird we actually get quite a bit at our house. So
yeah. Now tell me, let's move on to some snakes. So since you love snakes and someday want to breed them and watch videos about them. Now here's a picture of a snake right here. So what kind of snake is that?
So
he's pretty.
That there is the blue enceladus.
Okay.
So it's a snake native to Indonesia.
Okay.
And it is a pit viper, so it is venomous.
Okay.
So yeah, you don't want to mess with those.
Even though he's pretty, you don't want to tangle with him.
Yeah, but that's really all I know about this snake. I haven't done too much research on them. The way how I found them out though is because there's another guy on YouTube that I watch, and I cannot ever remember the name of his channel, but he like keeps a bunch of venomous snakes.
He's a brave man.
Yeah, he even just acquired the most venomous snake in the world.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Why would you want to do that?
I have no idea.
Don't do that when you're breeding snakes someday, when you have your own snakes.
The only venomous snakes I'll have will be the mildly venomous ones.
Okay, that's much better.
Yeah.
Now we just had to hear the picture is again. I have no idea. You sent me this picture. What is happening with that snake?
So that there is the paradise flying snake, and it's doing what you think it is, and it's somewhat flying.
Okay.
They don't actually fly, but they actually glide
So
from
like
tree
a flying
to tree.
squirrel.
Yeah, so what they do is they spread their ribs out and flatten themselves, and they'll just glide from tree to tree.
Well, that's crazy and horrifying.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want a snake flying from tree to tree anywhere around me.
Yeah.
Where do they live?
I think around Asia
Okay.
is where they live.
Okay,
So.
that is bizarre. I've never heard of that. I was
Yeah.
glad you sent me that picture because
Thanks.
I learned something.
Thankfully, even though they're mildly venomous, they're harmless to humans.
Okay,
So.
that's good. It would still be harmful to me if I had a snake jumping from tree to tree. I think I'd have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Now tell me about some other snakes. We've just well here's okay. Here's our great debate right here, I believe.
yeah,
This is not a snake at all, is it?
Yeah, that's a legless lizard. So
I've been jokingly telling Eliana that is just a snake, but tell us why that's a lizard. I understand it is.
So the way how it's a lizard is, one, you can see on that lizard's body that it has this thing called a lateral line. And that's something that only lizards and skinks have.
Okay.
And it's sort of like, you know how like you have a suitcase and you can't put any more stuff, but then you have that special zipper that just gives you that extra room to put more stuff in your suitcase? That's pretty much what that lateral line is.
Okay.
Snakes do not need that line because of how stretchy their skin is.
Okay.
And that they can actually move their ribs a bit to create more room.
Okay.
Some other differences is one, legless lizards have a way longer tail than snakes do.
Okay.
So like their tails can be like anywhere from as long as their body, or at least maybe like half of the length of their body.
Okay.
While snakes just have a barely anything for their tail, like it's just a few inches and that's it for their tail.
Okay.
Um
So I was reading
So-
now that legless lizard, is most of that body there, or most of what looks like the body, the tail on that legless lizard there?
most likely,
Okay.
yeah. So the way how we know where the tail begins and where the rest of the lizard ends is if you look for the cloaca or vent,
Okay.
and then anywhere past that area is all tail.
Okay.
So
I'm probably not been looking close enough to one I find out in the ground. Now, one thing that she didn't say is that a legless lizard, you can find them here in Alabama.
yeah,
Yeah,
we have
so-
3 species of legless lizards.
Good grief.
Here. Yeah.
We have a lot of, I was reading that we have a lot of species of all kinds of animals here in Alabama because of our climate and our water and everything else that we have here. But now we just had a picture pop up of a snake jaw.
Yeah, so that's another difference between legless lizards and snakes are their jaws.
Okay.
Legless lizards have jaws that are like ours where it's one piece, but as you can see with that picture, snakes have a split jaw.
Okay.
There's also a difference with their teeth where legless lizards have these cone-shaped teeth while,
There's a lizard skull.
yeah, that's a legless lizard skull.
Okay.
So you can see those teeth are more cone-shaped, while a snake's teeth are more pointed backwards or rear fang,
Okay.
like fanged back, so
Okay.
that way they can hold on to their prey better. But lizards' teeth are made for like ripping and tearing things.
Okay,
That's
so-
why you want to be bit by a snake more than a lizard, as long as neither of them are venomous.
I don't want to be bitten by either one. How about that? I'm gonna continue in my life and hope to never get bitten by either a snake or a lizard. Unless it's one of those little lizards that runs in my house and I have to grab and get them out of the
Yeah.
house. I think I can handle that.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that you didn't talk about, you were explaining to me about the eyes too. So if you see one of these legless lizards and you don't know if it's a snake or a lizard, what happens with the eyes where you know that it's a lizard versus
yeah.
a snake?
So since it's a lizard, it's actually able to blink.
Okay.
So snakes cannot blink. Instead, they just have this clear scale that covers their eye, but they cannot blink. They have their eyes open all the time.
Okay. Yeah, that makes them even creepier.
Yeah, so it's hard to tell if they're sleeping or not, too.
So if you have a snake coming at you and it's blinking or winking at you, it's a lizard.
Yes.
And you can calm down a little more, even though you don't want a lizard to bite you
Yeah,
any more than you want a snake to bite you.
yeah.
Okay, so we can prepare mentally for what's coming at us if we see one of them. But most of us will be running from them, so I don't think that we're going to stay long enough to see if they're blinking.
Another cool thing about legless lizards, though, is that since they are a lizard, they're like any other lizard are able to drop their tail.
Okay.
So, and of course, snakes cannot do that. So,
So if a legless lizard drops its tail, that's a lot of tail. Is it just like the end of the tail that it drops, or?
it's wherever the predator grabs it.
Wow. Okay.
So they can drop any point of their tail and then regrow it.
And still
the
be
only
fine.
problem with that is their new tail won't look like the old one.
Okay.
So, but yeah,
They maybe won't look as snake-like if they lose that tail and have to grow it back.
yeah.
All right.
So, but the reason why they have such a long tail is so that way there's a higher chance that the predator will grab the tail instead of where all its vital organs
Okay. That's a good thing to have.
yeah.
Now we got a picture of a bird up here.
So that there's the pileated woodpecker.
And that's my favorite bird. And you said it was also one of your favorites
Yes.
too. We
So-
have one close to our house that I see periodically.
Yeah, we have at least 2 that live around our area.
Yeah.
So they're, I'm pretty sure, the largest woodpecker here in the United States.
I like a woodpecker. I don't know why, but I've always liked woodpeckers.
So the only 2 woodpeckers that I know that get bigger than the pileated are, I can remember one woodpecker's name, not the other one being the ivory-billed woodpecker, which sadly both woodpeckers are either close to extinction, if not extinct.
Okay, yeah, that is sad.
Yeah.
So well, here's your favorite, your ultimate favorite bird. There's the osprey.
Yeah, that's an osprey. I really love those guys. You tend to see them as close as they can be to the water.
Okay.
They're the birds that like building the nest out on those signs and posts in the middle of the water when you're those signs that tell you like how deep the water is.
They're a cool bird too.
Yeah.
So before we go, here are your cats. Let's talk about your cats.
So that there is Luna and Eclipse.
Okay.
Luna's the white cat, Eclipse is the tuxedo.
Okay.
Now, something I do want to say is Luna has been missing ever since Memorial Day.
Okay.
So
if anyone sees Luna, and again, Luna's the light-colored cat on the right there. So if you happen to see Luna anywhere around the Wilsonville area, or cats can go pretty far. If you see a cat like that anywhere, then definitely, how can they let us know? Do you want them to contact me, or they can contact the studio or something? So so you can definitely contact. You can call Broadway Spinal Care. You can send me a message on Facebook. You can call us and let us know, and then that way you can send an email right there, daybreaktv47@gmail.com, so that we can see if we can find Luna for you, because I know it's always scary and sad when your pets run off. And
now I'm pretty confident that she should be fine, because I've like heard stories where cats have been missing for years and then have been found.
so hopefully it's just a matter of somebody spotting her and letting us know.
Yeah. So.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the show. So again, we're happy to have Eliana Romans on here so we can talk about birds and snakes. It was something different on Pet Connect today, and we'll have you on some other time. When you get all of your snakes, once you're out of the house, when you have all your snakes, then we can have you back on here and we can talk about all of your snakes that you have, and we can have a big discussion, but no venomous snakes. You can't have seriously venomous snakes at home. But, so we'll have more Daybreak after these messages, but remember, today's National Mutt Day. Let's head out to the shelter and meet some dogs.
Dear humans, I stand here today not for myself, but for every tail wagger, sloppy kisser, and curtain ninja. I stand here for each one of the thousands of dogs and cats killed in shelters each day, asking you to join our cause and help us make sure every best friend has a chance to meet one of their own. With Best Friends Animal Society leading the charge and your help, we can save them all.